I always thought anniversaries were meant to celebrate how much you'd grown together, not to remind you how far apart you'd drifted. 12 years. That's what Megan and I were marking that night. At least, that's what I believed when I made the reservation at Lavona, the same Italian place where I'd asked her to marry me. I'd planned everything to feel familiar. A quiet corner, candlelight, the same bottle of red we'd shared the night I proposed. Megan looked beautiful, effortlessly so. She wore a soft blue dress, her hair loose, a delicate diamond pendant resting just above her collarbone. But there was something in her eyes that didn't belong there, a kind of distance, a distracted gleam that I couldn't ignore no matter how hard I tried. "Happy anniversary," I said, raising my glass. She smiled, but it stopped at her lips. 12 years, she murmured, touching her glass to mine. "Feels like forever, doesn't it?" The words sounded more like a question than a celebration. I smiled anyway, trying to keep things light. I talked about old trips, the house we built, the laughter we used to share. She responded perfectly, laughed in the right moments, nodded where she should, but her eyes kept drifting toward her phone, face down beside her plate, as if it held something more interesting than me. Halfway through dinner, she excused herself to the restroom. I watched her go, the same confident walk I'd always admired. Around me, the restaurant buzzed softly, couples talking, glasses clinking, music humming low. Everything looked so normal, perfectly ordinary. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my brother, Ethan. "You still at Lavona?" "Yeah." "Why?" "You might want to check outside. You've got company." A chill ran through me. Ethan wasn't one for jokes. I got up, muttering something to the waiter, and made my way past the kitchen to the side door. The moment I stepped outside, the cool night air hit like a slap. And then I saw her. Megan stood beside a black car at the far end of the lot. The door was open, and a man leaned against it. Tall, broad, painfully familiar. Tyler. My business partner. My best man. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. They didn't notice me. Megan was smiling, really smiling, the way she hadn't in months. She touched his arm lightly, said something that made him laugh. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, a simple gesture that felt far too intimate. I just stood there, frozen. The sounds from the restaurant blurred away until all I could hear was my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Slowly, I stepped back before either of them could see me. Back inside, I sat down again, forcing my breathing to steady. The candle had burned lower. The wine had gone warm. Nothing had changed, except that everything had. When Megan came back, she smiled as if nothing had happened. "Sorry," she said, unfolding her napkin. There was a line. I stared at her, wondering how someone could lie so easily while looking you straight in the eye. The rest of dinner passed in pieces, her voice, my silence, the quiet rhythm of forks and plates. I paid the bill, thanked the waiter, and we walked out hand in hand like any couple ending a pleasant evening. But inside me, something had splintered. The drive home was silent. Megan leaned against the window, the glow of her phone screen flickering across her face. I kept my hand steady on the wheel, my voice calm when I finally asked, "Tired?" She didn't look up. "Long week," she said softly. "It used to be. I missed you." Lately, it was always the same excuse, "I'm tired." I couldn't help but wonder if Tyler ever heard that too, or if she somehow found her energy when she was with him. When we got home that night, she went straight upstairs without a word. I stayed behind in the kitchen, staring at my own faint reflection in the dark window. The house felt strange now, colder, emptier. The walls that once echoed with laughter and late-night conversations now held only silence and lies we both pretended not to see. I wanted to confront her, to demand an explanation. Why him? Why tonight of all nights? Our anniversary. But instead, I just stood there, motionless. There's a kind of ache that doesn't burn. It just hollows you out. It wasn't anger anymore. It was nothing. When I finally went upstairs, she was already in bed, eyes closed, pretending to sleep. I lay beside her, just a few inches away, yet she felt miles from me. The woman who used to be my home had somehow turned into a stranger. The next morning, I woke before she did. I sat on the edge of the bed, looking around at the pieces of our life together. The jewelry box, the honeymoon photo, her perfume bottle. Everything looked exactly the same, but none of it carried meaning anymore. When she stirred, she smiled faintly. "You're up early." "Yeah," I said. "Couldn't sleep." She stretched and asked, "You okay?" I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd loved for over a decade, the one I'd built my world around. And in that moment, she felt like someone I used to know. "I'm fine," I said quietly. And for once, it was true. I didn't go to work that day. Instead, I drove out to the lake we used to visit on Sundays. I sat there for hours, watching the water ripple, calm, steady, untouched by everything that had fallen apart in my life. It reminded me of who I used to be, before love turned into duty instead of desire. By afternoon, my mind was made up. When I returned home, Megan was at the dining table, laptop open, coffee in hand. "Hey," she said casually. "I was thinking maybe we could go to your mom's this weekend." "Sure," I said. "But I'll take my own car." She looked confused. "Why?" I met her eyes and didn't look away. "Because after that, I'm not coming back." Her face went pale. "What are you talking about?" "I saw you last night," I said softly. "Outside the restaurant." She froze. No excuses, no explanations, just silence. And that silence told me everything I needed to know. "Megan," I continued, "I spent years believing love could survive anything if you just kept trying. I gave it everything I had. But deep down, we both know it's been over for a long time." Her eyes welled up. "It's not what you think." I almost laughed. "Then what is it?" She said nothing. I picked up my keys and looked around the house one last time. The photos, the couch where we used to fall asleep, the kitchen where we'd danced barefoot at midnight. They all felt like memories from another lifetime. At the door, she whispered, "So that's it." I turned back and said calmly, "This isn't revenge, Megan. It's peace. You made your choice. I'm just finally making mine." Then I walked out. The evening air was cool and still, carrying a quiet that felt almost sacred. As I started the car and drove away, the house faded in the rearview mirror. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the weight of what I was leaving behind, only the lightness of what lay ahead. Freedom. And as the lights of that house disappeared behind me, I realized something. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to fight for someone to stay, it's to find the courage to let go and finally walk away.